Hey, what is going on, guys? I hope you're all doing great today. The day is finally here. We have the Q&A today. It's going to be a very chill, relaxed video. I'm going to just be going through answering each of your questions. There's going to be some gameplay and music in the background. Sit back, relax, enjoy, and thank you so much for sending in all these questions. All right, so starting things off, we have a question from Boxy Person. They said, when did you start playing IDV? And I looked at my mana career. The first time I ever logged on was October 11th, 2020. I had a friend that introduced me to the game, and that's kind of crazy to think about because that means we're coming up on 5 years now, almost in a few months of playing IDV, which is a bit insane to think about. And next up, we have a question from Trash QY3FB. They asked two questions. The first is, what made you main Undead? And then any new characters you want to start maining, Survivor or Hunter. So as for what made me start maining Undead, first off, I always have been a Hunter player. I think since I really joined the game, I always just, at first, I just hated how long Survivor queue times were that I would just play Hunter. But I think I just also grew to enjoy it a bit more. And then early on, I bounced around just a couple of different Hunters and I enjoyed it, but none of them really felt like my Hunter. So me and that friend that introduced me to the game, we jumped into just custom after custom one day with the goal of finding me a new Hunter main. And we did so many. They kept on suggesting a Hunter. I would play them and then I didn't enjoy it. And then eventually we got to Undead and they kept telling me of any Hunter I chose, do not choose Undead. But the problem is I really enjoy, this is just across any game really, I really enjoy characters or like kits that have high mobility. I don't know what it is, I just really enjoy that style of gameplay, and Undead's dashing has really good mobility. So despite my friend's greatest wishes, I picked up Undead and I think it worked out, but that's how I ended up maining Undead. And then as for any new characters I want to start maining, Survivor or Hunter, I think definitely on the Hunter side, I want to try playing Naiad a bit more. I want to get into learning her. So maybe once I don't rank to peak tier and I can play quick matches, I might try picking her up again. It's mostly just because I picked up a skin for her years ago. I have her Rosemary A tier, and then watching what you could do with her water abysses with warp now, I really just want to try that out. It seems like a really fascinating thing. And then for Survivor, there's actually, I feel like there's quite a few. I honestly want to try playing Priestess more, at least in quick matches, or even if she doesn't get banned in rank. She actually seems kind of fun to play, and she's strong. And then also, I definitely want to play Barmaid a lot more, especially after getting her skin in the Paper Cutter Essence. I feel like she seems like a fun character. She's strong in the meta. I would really enjoy playing Barmaid a bit more. Next up, we have a question from Cars for Sale. They asked, will you play tarot more please? And when this question originally got asked months ago, it probably would have been a really hard no, just because Undead wasn't added. But now that Undead is added, I'm honestly not too against it. I think once I stop ranking so hard this season, maybe next season once I'm done ranking, I might not rank as much. I feel like I do want to play a bit more tarot, surprisingly. I have been scarred by tarot in the past, but my GOAT Undead is in there now, so I will say there's actually a good chance I'll start playing a bit more tarot now. And next up, we have a question from Bossda HQ. They asked, why are you British? And it is true, I'm half British. My dad is British, he's from England. He came to the United States in his like 20s, I believe. So I do have dual citizenship, but yeah, I am British, and it's because my dad is from England. Next up, we have a question from the GOAT, DM Shimi TTV. He asked, why did you start streaming, and what mindset did you have when starting off, and how do you feel like you've changed since then? So as for why I started streaming, I think it's kind of two factors went into it. The first is I've always been interested in content. I've made other YouTube channels in the past. None of them have been as successful as this one, but I've always been interested in doing content, that is for sure. And then also I was coming back from this large break from IDV, and I never really interacted with the community much prior to that break. Like my gameplay before that was all just kind of on my own, and I really wanted a way to start interacting with the community and getting into the game a bit more. So it kind of was just like a perfect pair of that. It was a chance to get to know the community more, and then also start doing content again, because I've always been interested in it, and that's what made me start my first ever stream. And then for how my mindset has changed, I think I've really just gotten a lot easier on myself. I think streaming for sure, I was really trying to push to have multiple hour streams every day that I could, as often as I could. And I learned very quickly that is how you burn out. Even though I love doing content and I love IDV, it burned me out because I was forcing myself to play even if I didn't necessarily want to. And I think that's kind of how switching to YouTube has changed things a bit. You guys know very well my upload schedule is a complete mess. Sometimes I upload multiple times in a week. Other times it's like this, where I have not uploaded in about 3+ weeks. And it's everywhere on that spectrum in between. But that's why I enjoy YouTube. I try to just do videos when I have time and when I'm really excited to, because I feel like that allows me to create the best work I can. And I think that changed a lot since when I first started streaming, where I was trying to just be live as often as I can. I cared a lot more about numbers as well then. And I think being easier on myself has made the content better for sure. And it makes it so much more enjoyable, where I feel like I can do this for a lot longer as well. Next up, we got a question from Tara.8426, and they asked, what's your favorite song/artist? And this is a really hard question for me because I jump around. My playlists are very scattered, I guess, in terms of what artists are on there. I will say for the past 2 years in a row, Grant Perez has been my #1 artist, if that gives you any insight. However, I don't think that will be the case for this year, but I don't know who it will be this year. But as for favorite song, I never really have a song just on repeat over and over again. But a song called Teenage Blue by Dreamgirl is a song I feel like I'll never be not in the mood to listen to. I feel like sometimes there's songs where when they come on, even if they're ones that you enjoy, you skip them because you're not in the mood. That's a song that I will let it play regardless, or if I don't know what song I want to play, I'll always start with that. So yeah. Next up, we have a question from Blue Ren. They asked, what are good chairs in Factory, or what chairs are considered good in the perspective of Hunter and or Survivor, and same goes the other way, what are considered to be good or bad ciphers in both perspectives. So starting off with what makes a chair good, or I guess strong, in terms of the Hunter or Survivor perspective, I think how easy it is to transition from that chair is a big thing. If the chair is out in the open and survivors are going to struggle to transition after rescue, that's going to be a lot stronger for the Hunter, because you might force the rescuer to body block, or you might just get a really easy hit after the rescue. And survivors would kind of be the opposite. If there's a lot to work with right around that chair, it's going to be a lot easier for you to transition, so it's a bit stronger. But you also have to keep in mind it's likely Hunter dependent. For example, Soul Weaver might be an exception to that, where she can really web up the chair if it's in a lot more of a confined area, and I'm sure there's other Hunters that would benefit from that as well. And then also chair location matters. If you're able to chair right on top of a cipher and pressure that and stop it from getting decoded, that will make it a lot stronger for the Hunter as well. But then I guess just in general, good chairs in Factory, the first one that comes to mind is the exit gate that is adjacent to Factory. Right beyond like the big rock that just sits there, there's like a little like generator and like 2 barrels, then a chair usually spawns there. I feel like that's a very strong chair. There's really only 1 pallet off to the left that the survivors can transition to easily, and apart from that, they have to transition a decent bit to get to another kiting area. So for Factory chairs, I think that one's a pretty strong chair. And then good or bad ciphers, I think it's really a similar case. If you have a lot of ability to transition off of a cipher as a survivor, that's a strong cipher. But then you also just have to keep in mind what your late game ciphers will look like. If you have 3 adjacent to each other late game, it's going to be a lot harder to independently decode and get a cipher primed, because the hunter will be able to pressure all 3 a lot easier. Whereas if you have a late game cipher that's completely opposite of the map to where the hunter and survivors are, it makes it a lot easier to get that going. So it definitely depends on where you're at in the match as well. But I think just in general for both ciphers and chairs, how easy it is to transition from those areas can be a big determiner if that chair is going to be stronger for the hunter or for the survivor. Next up, we have a question from Availus77. They asked two. The first is top 5 IDV characters and why, and then also any favorite shows or movies that I like. So starting off with the top 5, to nobody's surprise at all, we have Undead. I genuinely think that he has completely changed where my space in this community is. I don't think I would be anywhere near where I am if I never played Undead, so that's definitely why he's number 1. He's also just incredibly fun to play. So Undead is number 1 to nobody's surprise. Number 2 though is definitely going to be Lizard. Lizard has always kind of been my backup hunter, my number 2, and it actually came in handy yesterday. I was ranking and I went against this 4 stack 4 times in a row. It was 2 a.m. rank, so not a lot of people were playing, and quite literally back to back matches against this 4 stack, and they realized they just kept getting me, so they target banned my Undead. And I had to play Lizard, and I was able to get a 3-man win on Lizard, which I was not really prepared for in Dragon rank. So Lizard being that dependable backup is definitely putting him up there. And then again, it's just another high mobility character. I really enjoy mobility in games, and when he got that infinite jump buff, that was the greatest thing of all time. I love that buff so much. So Lizard is definitely solid at number 2. And then number 3 is probably Bloody Queen, which is probably pretty unexpected because I never really post Bloody Queen gameplay, but she was my first hunter I ever really consistently played in IDV. When I first started out, she got me to Crocodile for the very first time, and even though I don't play her that much, she just kind of has that special place. That's where I started playing Hunter. That's what really got me into Hunter, and I still love watching BQ gameplay. I watch Happy Bud BQ gameplays all the time because it's just satisfying to watch how crazy mirror snipes can be. So BQ is definitely my 3rd. And then as for my 4th, I think Ripper will be in my 4th. My top 3 hunters in terms of playtime go Undead, Lizard, Ripper. And Ripper is just another character with a lot of mobility. He goes so fast. I also find it really satisfying to hit Foggy Blades through walls. So that's why I just enjoy him a lot. And then as for my favorite survivor, I'll put that in number 5, my 5th favorite character. I think it has to be Forward, because I have played Forward so much. Even though I don't play him that much anymore, he still remains on my number 1 survivor in terms of usage, because I just remember, like, in COVID time, I would load up duos and play Forward every single match with my friends just over and over and over again. So I have logged a crazy amount of matches on Forward, even though I haven't really consistently played him for many seasons. But yeah, that's my top 5. I just enjoy looking back at those COVID duo like grind sessions where I'd play Forward. And then as for any TV shows or movies, I do not watch a lot of TV. I'm kind of an iPad kid in the fact that I watch a bunch of YouTube and kind of exclusively YouTube. But I will say for movies, whenever I'm on a plane, I will always watch a Despicable Me or Minions movie. I don't know what it is about those. I absolutely love Despicable Me and Minions series. Like, I don't know what it is about those, but that's definitely my favorite movie series by far. And next up, we have a question from Manuzel. They asked 2. The first is, what's your main survivor? And then also, do you have a girlfriend? So as for my main survivors, in rank at least, it kind of goes just between lawyer, mercenary, Norton, or enchantress. I'll play lawyer or mercenary if we need a rescue or decode, and then if both of those roles are already fulfilled, I'll kind of just go between Norton and enchant. And then as for quick match, I kind of jump around a lot, but quick match I play a lot of thief. I play a lot of enchant too. I've been playing a lot of enchant lately because I got her skin from the escapologist essence, where I also got his S tier. I did not do any additional pulls on that essence at all, by the way, which was a bit insane. But I got her skin from that essence, so I've been playing her more. Thief as well, patient, magician. Those are probably like the 7-ish survivors I play the most. And then as for if I have a girlfriend, unfortunately I do not. Next up, we have a question from Lorca13. They said, I want to know your favorite female survivor. And I think it really is Enchantress right now. I've been playing her so much in quick matches. Even in rank now, I've been playing her a decent bit. I don't survivor rank much, but I have been bringing her into survivor rank as well. So Enchantress by far, at least for right now, I've been playing a lot of Enchant, and she's definitely my favorite female survivor for now. Next up, we have a question from George Beckons 539. They asked, what tier is this? And then as for the older videos when this question got asked, a lot of those are anywhere from the Griffin to really low champ range. Because I didn't rank too much in the past seasons, I'd get to Evil Dragon 0 stars and then kind of end things. But now this season especially, I think the last video I uploaded on Ever Sleeping, there's some top 100 survivors in there. And then now that I've had about 2 weeks off of rank, a lot of my survivors are still former peak tiers, but they're either lower former peak tiers or high champs in the past that I'm going against right now. So there's a wide range, but this season is probably the highest ranked survivors that you'll see me go against by far in terms of my videos, and the older ones that you look at, probably Griffin or Alicorn survivors. And next up, we have a question from Roman Tolokai 3147. They said, I play on mobile. Any tips on making those sharp turns while doing a jump dash, sensitivity up? And I will say, I feel very bad. I don't know if I can help much on this. The few times I have played Undead on mobile, or even just IDV on mobile, they have not gone good for me at all. I am very bad at mobile. I am a terrible mobile player. So how to improve your sharp turns on a jump dash while using mobile? I'm sure sensitivity up could definitely help. The only other thing I could think of that could possibly help was once you start your dash, you're locked in on that line that you're dashing on. So you could start trying to move your camera a lot earlier to get ready for that sharp jump. The only drawback there is the survivors could have moved before you're able to make that jump. So I'm not sure how effective that would be, but maybe it's something that could help if you try. And again, I'm sorry that I can't help too much on this. And then next up, we have this question from, I do apologize, I don't know how to read your name, but they asked, what interested you to play Undead? Is he your first hunter? So as for what interested me to play Undead, I think it's very similar to what I said earlier, where my friend would just introduce me to all the characters, and I really enjoy characters with high mobility, and Undead was just the answer. I also just understood him really quickly. I feel like I watched a lot of Happy Bud videos on Undead, and I think that's what really led me to be able to learn him a lot quicker. So I think being able to understand him, because he has a fairly simple kit, and then also him having a lot of mobility, so it was a lot more fun for me, I think that's what interested me to play Undead. And then he was not my favorite hunter. So I already mentioned I played BQ quite a bit. I was also a Joseph main for a really long time before picking up Undead. I was a Joseph main, and I think Joseph and BQ were probably the only two hunters I really played a lot prior to getting on the Undead. I played Violinist and Leo a little bit, but I wouldn't consider them played as much as I definitely played BQ and ranked with BQ and Joseph both. And next up, we have a question from Definitely Not Mentally Wrong. They asked, are you Fart Magnet 3000? Yes, I am Fart Magnet 3000. I used to go by that name in IDV. I also used to go by the name XX Fartlord XX, but IDV banned that name. My name got removed for having that as it. So who knows, maybe I'll switch off of Mr. Sashimi and go back to a fart name. But yeah, I am Fart Magnet 3000. I did go by that for quite a bit in the game. Next up, we have a question from the guy made out of clothes 3418. They asked, if you could remove one survivor, who would you remove? And I had to think about this for a second, but I decided upon Puppeteer. First of all, from the survivor perspective, I don't think I've ever played Puppeteer before. Maybe I've played him once, so I would not be too upset if he got removed on the survivor side of things. And then on the hunter side of things, his buff that allows him to now take 2 hits per puppet, that annoys me a little bit. And then also he can tank detention hits, and a few ranked sessions ago I had a Puppeteer detention hit body block and tank a hit that turned a win into a tie, and I was just so sad when that happened. I was just so sad watching them run out of the gate together. So I think Puppeteer, if I had to choose, that would probably be who I removed. Next up, we have a question from Calvin Zhao 4202. They asked, do you have any tips for being successful in life? And this is a really hard question for me. I think for one, I'm still trying to figure out what that means for me personally. But I guess the first step is probably understanding what a successful life is for you, because I think it's a very broad goal. If it's financial freedom, if it's being healthy, if it's having the job that you really enjoy, I feel like there's a lot of different factors that can impact what makes you feel successful. As for me, I really try to focus that the career or what I'm trying to go into is something that I'll enjoy. And I've already think I've confirmed that by taking projects on in my major and things like that. And I think that is the first step to success, is making sure you enjoy what you're going to be doing. And then I just also try to say yes to every opportunity that's presented to me. I've applied to research now. I'm on a project team. I have a job related to the major I'm in. And I think doing all of those to just try to get hands-on experience and say yes to the opportunities presented, they can help you meet a lot of cool people. And I think that can really help you start becoming successful. But I think it also really depends on what success for you is and what your specific goals are, because I think then you can be a lot more purposeful in your steps towards achieving those goals. So I hope that helps. I don't know how well of advice that was, but I hope that helps. Next up, we have a question from Mario Games 8106. They asked, have you ever considered branching out doing variety, like horror game playthroughs, etc.? And I think the biggest driver to whether or not I'd branch out, because I have thought about going out and doing other games and making videos on that, is I'd want to make another channel. If I did that, I feel like I'd enjoy just keeping this channel IDV, and obviously I would tell you guys if I did, but I think time is the biggest driving factor as to if I can do that. I already feel like I don't have as much time as I'd want to put towards my IDV videos, so I think trying to do another channel for variety would just be something that I would struggle on a bit. And then I also don't really know what games I would do. If I'm being completely honest, IDV is kind of my main game just because of the amount of time I have to play. There's not much, so usually it just goes straight to IDV, so I'd have to find other games. And then horror games, bro. I am so bad with horror. I don't think if I did variety, it would be horror, because horror games, even Roblox horror games, man, they get to me somehow. I don't know how. Horror is not for me, though. But I have thought about it. I think it's just free time, which unfortunately I don't expect to have much of for the next 1 to 2 years at least. I think that's kind of the driving factor as to if I do variety, but maybe I could do streams. I do want to start up streaming again, so maybe I could try starting off with that, doing the occasional stream that's not IDV. But as for videos, it'll probably stay IDV for quite a while. Next up, we have another question from Cars for Sale. They asked, if Undead got unlimited, would you whale? And I really don't know. I think it depends on quite a few things. If I have a lot of inspiration already stacked up, I might as well go for it. I might as well. But also, I spent $100 to get Zazie, so the amount unlimited would cost, I don't know if I even want to test those limits yet. I think it would also depend on if the skin is heat or not. Like if Nettie's absolutely cooks up on that limited skin, I would definitely increase the chance that I do it. If I just have a paycheck hit my account, maybe that as well would influence if I whale. But I don't know, because it is quite a lot of money, so I would have to see. So maybe if I have a lot of inspiration, the skin is good, and I'm not a broke college student at the time, like if it's over summer where I'm able to work a lot more. Possibly yes, but I'm not too sure. Next up, we have another question from the Goat Shimi, this time asked in the Discord. There will be a link in the description if you would like to join. But they asked, what major are you going for right now? And I am a mechanical engineering student at my school. I'm going to be going into my second year this upcoming fall. And then just some of the things I do, I guess also just outside of my regular coursework. The project I always talk about, I'm a member of what's called my FSAE team at my school, Formula Student. It's like a very downsized Formula 1 car, so definitely not on the scale of that, but it's Formula styled. I work on the suspension for the race car that my school does, and then I also am like a teaching assistant, but not like an actual teaching assistant because that's actual grad students, but I help out with this introductory like engineering design class as well at my school. And that's kind of where a lot of my time during the school year goes, is split up between just my regular major coursework, working on the race car team, and then also just being an assistant for that class. Alright, and last but not least, we have a question from Elio Pioli. They asked two. The first is, do you have any tips for getting better as hunter / going to high tier? And then also, do you ever get bored of IDV? So as for how you can help and get better at going into higher tiers as hunter, I think the biggest thing that helped me in getting better at Undead was I watched so much pro or high tier gameplay on Undead. I would spam Happy Bud videos for Undead, so whatever characters you're planning to play in rank, I think watching high tier gameplay can be one of the biggest helpful things that you can do, because you'll get to see how they use their abilities, what chases they take, what spawns they're choosing, and I think that can help out a bunch. And then the second thing that helped me out a bunch, I don't know how accessible this is, I got very lucky that when I just joined a random guild one day, it had a lot of peak tiers and tournament players in it for some reason. And as a result, when I joined the Discord, I was able to meet these people. I got to scrim against them time after time again. They'd give me tips on what I was doing poorly and how to improve, and that helped me out a bunch as well. So maybe if you're even able to just get another person who plays those characters that's higher tier to look at your gameplay, or if you're able to play against higher tier survivors and you're gonna get cooked by them, but get destroyed by some high tier survivors, I think that can help out a bunch as well. And then as for if I ever get bored of IDV, 100% I get bored, or maybe burnt out, I think would probably be the more accurate term for what happens to me. And I think that's okay. I think it happens to a lot of people. I still love the game. It's been my main game that I've played for years at this point, so I still love IDV, but you guys see it in how inconsistent my upload schedule can be sometimes. Sometimes I don't upload for a month because I'm just taking a bit of a break. When I used to stream, I think I'd take breaks as long as like 3 months, so it definitely happens, like definitely after this rank season as well. I don't think I'm gonna rank much at all next season, just because I'm gonna be a bit burnt out after pushing so hard this. So I think, yeah, I do, but I still love IDV, and I think it's completely just like, I think you should take breaks if you're getting bored of the game, because I think that's what allowed me to play this game so long and still enjoy it, is because when I stop enjoying it for a bit, I just step away and take a break. So 100%. And that will do it. Thank you so much to everybody who submitted a question. I hope I did a good job answering it, and I am so sorry again. It took over half a year for me to actually get around to making this. I do sincerely apologize. I hope it was enjoyable though, and I hope I did a good job answering those questions for you. I will be gone for another like week and a half from now on. I do have some rank matches I want to upload. I just haven't had the time quite yet, and I'm going out of town again. So I was out of town for college. Now I'm just going to be enjoying a little like week and a half vacation, so that will be fun. But I do apologize also for how spread out videos are right now. Hopefully once I'm back, it'll be back on track for the month until I start college. But thank you so much for watching again, guys. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, great rest of your day. Peace out. Have a good one.